Hey everybody, I'm trying something new here today. So we've got an in-studio guest, and we're going to talk to him a little bit, and then we're going to go get tacos.
Are the tacos hemp tacos?
No, they are not hemp tacos, just regular tacos, but they are delicious. Anyway, that was Steve Groff, third-generation Lancaster County farmer, hemp innovator, all-around good guy from Holtwood, Pennsylvania. This is the Lancaster Farming Industrial Hemp Podcast. Hi there, my name is Eric Herlock. Welcome back to the Hemp Show, or today it's the Hemp and Tacos Show. In this episode, Steve and I will dig into the state of Pennsylvania's industrial hemp scene, the challenges and opportunities around green decortication, why farmers need fair pricing to scale this crop, and how the latest changes to federal hemp policy mark what Steve calls an inflection point for the fiber and grain side of the industry. All that and more right after these messages. Our show this week is brought to you in part by I&D Hemp in Fort Benton, Montana, where they believe in the goodness of hemp. I&D Hemp is a family-owned, mission-driven industrial hemp food, feed, and fiber company that's providing new opportunities for American farmers. Learn more at indhemp.com. This episode is also made possible with support from Forever Green, distributors of the KP4 hemp cutter, introducing a revolution in hemp harvesting, setting a standard for harvesting quality, speed, and efficiency. The KP4 prepares hemp for ideal retting and easy on-field tedding, raking, and baling. It's easy to maintain and designed to withstand the punishments of hemp harvesting. The KP4 hemp cutter, available only at hempcutter.com. And this week's episode is also brought to you with support from Ephrata Cast Hemp, leaders in sustainable hempcrete construction. Based here in Pennsylvania, Ephrata is transforming the building industry with renewable carbon sequestering materials made from hemp and lime. Whether you're a contractor, architect, or homeowner, if you're looking to build a healthy, high-performance structure, Ephrata has the experience to guide you from concept to completion. Learn more at ephrata.com and start building a better future with hemp. All right, welcome back. So we've got a couple of news nuggets here for you this first week of December 2025. December 2025. It's crazy how fast this year just went. So these news nuggets come to us from our friends over at hemptoday.net. Check them out at hemptoday.net. So here in the U.S., the federal ban on intoxicating hemp-derived THC is already rippling through the broader cannabis economy. Hemp Today reports that several publicly traded companies are warning investors about the impact. Curaleaf Holdings looks especially exposed. After softening cannabis markets, the company leaned heavily on hemp THC vapes, edibles, and low-dose drinks, even launching a hemp company brand in 2024. With that entire lane now closing, Curaleaf faces added pressure on top of continued net losses, despite bringing in more than $900 million through the first 3 quarters of 2025. Tilray Brands is also signaling trouble, calling the ban misguided and prohibitionist, then announcing a 1-for-10 reverse stock split that sent its share price down more than 20%. Pure CBD companies like Charlotte's Web and CBDMD are less directly affected by the intoxicating hemp ban, but their latest filings still show shrinking revenues and ongoing losses. The bottom line is this: the crackdown didn't just close a loophole, it exposed how fragile many of these business models already were. There's more encouraging news out of China. Researchers at Qingdao University have published a study on a low-temperature, chemical-free pre-treatment for industrial hemp fiber. Instead of the high-heat, caustic alkali baths common in Asia, the team paired a light-activated cleaning step with a mild enzyme wash. The 2-stage process removed most of the lignin and pectin without weakening the cellulose. Early estimates suggest it could cut energy use by 40 to 60% and produce far less wastewater. If it scales, it could support cleaner textile production and give hemp fiber a competitive edge. And in Europe, Austria's hemp sector is preparing for a major legal battle. The government has approved an amendment that would place smokable hemp flower under the country's tobacco monopoly starting in January 2029. Only licensed tobacco shops and wholesalers would be permitted to sell it, even though hemp flower under 0.3% THC remains legal under EU rules. Retailers and the new Austrian Cannabis Association call the measure unconstitutional and discriminatory, warning that it could shut down hundreds of shops and eliminate more than 1,000 jobs. A constitutional challenge is already being prepared, and observers expect the case to reach Austria's constitutional court. That's the news from Hemp Today. You can learn more at hemptoday.net. All right, so last Monday, it was the Monday before Thanksgiving, Lancaster County hemp farmer Steve Groff paid us a visit in Ephrata. He came into the Hemp Studio, and we had the following conversation. Steve Groff here in the Hemp Studio. Welcome here. How do we do this? I forget how to do interviews when there's a real person here.
What an honor. I mean, I'm looking around. I see hemp things on the wall and feel right at home, Eric.
Thanks. Yeah. You were one of our first guests here in the studio.
Okay.
The studio has been open, I guess, maybe 2 years, almost 2 years. And we have not had a lot of in-studio guests. I'm trying to change that now. I'm trying to do a new style of show, which I'm sort of workshopping the title, but it's Hemp and Tacos. Right?
Oh, yeah. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. So where the concept of this new style of show is I bring in a hemp guest. We come into the studio. We talk about some hemp things. And then we go up the street. We get tacos at Tacos El Gordo. And then we sort of wander back to the studio and we wrap things up. Or maybe we decide over tacos that enough is enough. So you're willing to be one of the pioneers here on this hemp and taco thing.
But there's a big question here.
Yeah.
Are the tacos hemp tacos?
No, they're not hemp tacos.
That's possible, you know.
Tell me, what have you heard?
I've tasted them. Well, no, I should say, more like a hemp tortilla.
Okay.
But, you could somehow, there got to be hemp tacos out there somewhere, Eric. This has to be incorporated into your new show.
All right. Well, we'll talk to Julia up there and see what we can do.
Yeah.
All right.
We just got to put hemp everywhere we can. And this is why we're doing this, to educate.
To raise awareness.
The public, raise awareness. Even among us involved in the hemp space, there's still things we don't know about hemp. And that's what I love about this crop. It's like keeps like an onion,
Right.
layers.
The more you learn, the more you know you don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for joining me here, Steve, in the Hemp Studio. A couple weeks ago, we had Cameron McIntosh and Ben Davies. They didn't know it, but they were the sort of inaugural episode because they came in and then we went and got tacos.
Right.
But we didn't recap after tacos.
Oh, okay.
They kind of like stumbled away, wandered off. But maybe today we'll bring you back.
We'll see.
And then last week we had some guests stop by the studio, but they weren't really interested in the interview portion.
Oh.
They just wanted tacos.
Ooh.
So they didn't get an episode. So you, Steve, you are the pilot episode here of Hemp and Tacos. And we've got a lot to talk about because, as listeners know, you've got a farm not too far from the studios here. You're down in Holtwood. It's maybe 25 miles south of here? Okay. You're down near the river?
Yeah, Muddy Run Park, for those in the area, southern Lancaster County, close to the Susquehanna River, 12 miles from the Maryland border. So for those of you listening from around the world, we are 2.5 hours northeast of Washington, D.C., or 3.5 hours southwest of New York City.
Centrally located here in the center of the universe, Lancaster County.
That's correct.
Yeah. And you have a farm where you've been farming there yourself, sort of no-till for 30-odd years. It was your father's farm before that, your grandfather's farm before that, I assume.
Yeah.
So
I'm third generation there at that farm, and my son's full-time involved. He has kids, so we like to think that the fifth generation's here. And so far, the oldest of them is turning 4 soon, and they get a lot of tractor time in the cab. So I think there's a good chance we'll have that fifth generation helping out real soon.
Good. And so it's not just a hemp farm. You've been sort of I don't know what you call that, a very diverse operation over there.
Yeah.
Describe it a little bit.
So my grandfather actually shifted from the dairy in the 50s and started growing vegetables, particularly tomatoes. And that has really, really evolved over the years. And So currently I have 4 acres of heirloom tomatoes. We have about 25 varieties of heirloom tomatoes that we grow in high tunnels, soil grown in high tunnels. And typically 50 or so acres of winter squash, eggcorn, butternut spaghetti, those types. And about 20 or 30 acres of pumpkins, various pumpkins, all the decorative stuff you see around these days. And then the balance is pretty much hemp. For the last several years, been in that 60-acre, more or less, range of hemp, industrial hemp.
So I was out at your farm, when was that? September, August, somewhere around there? A couple months ago.
Yeah.
You hadn't cut it yet, but it was like 16 foot high. You were working on the green decorticator.
Yeah.
You had folks waiting on some fiber.
Yep.
So, bring us up to speed. What's happening there now?
Well, I can tell you this, it's all off the field. So we got it harvested. We really were, I guess you'd say, getting this green decorticator running is a big task. Nobody's done it before, to our knowledge, in-field green decortication. And so we're starting from scratch. And we're on our 3rd iteration of a machine. And we really hit on something here at the end this year. So, but we didn't get it all harvested with that machine. So we had to cut it down with our 4-bar cutter and bale it, round bale it. So that's where most of it is. But we were able to run 7 acres through our infield green decorticator. And so over the winter and until next year, we're continuing on with the next iteration of it, and we already have a manufacturer lined up to manufacture it. So
all right.
We're making progress. It's very
a shop
slow.
Local in Lancaster? Okay.
I'm just going to say it's in Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay.
Is that good enough for now?
That works.
All
yeah,
right.
we have some of the finest
I know.
fabricators here in
There's
Pennsylvania.
a lot of fingerprints from Lancaster County on that machine. I can assure you that right now.
All right. And so it's a PTO kind of thing?
Yeah, it's pulled by a tractor in field, and that's what makes it very economical. I mean, when you consider, what it's going to do, and this is not going to be where the whole hemp industry goes, but there's going to be a segment that wants long green fibers, and that segment is really literally worldwide that desires this. It's going to make it more affordable for that to happen. First of all, right now, there's really no machinery to do it wide scale. It's done in China. I've seen it by hand. So for us to mechanize it in a commercial scale, on a field scale, acre after acre, hundreds of acres, that's really where we're at. So it's going to put a little bit more money back in the farmers' pockets. And I know you've been saying for years you don't want the farmers to get the short end of the stick. And I've remembered that, Eric. And it's still, as I talk to people who contact me, sometimes we start talking prices. And they start, saying, well, how cheap can you make it? Well, we don't really know yet if you're going to pick that side of the argument because we haven't really scaled up with scalable machinery. There is certain situations where you can start putting numbers down. But in order for farmers to embrace this crop and to grow it, you're going to have to pay farmers a fair price, meaning they're going to have to make, $500 an acre or so to get them involved. Because what people don't understand, that sometimes they're on the processing and don't have a relationship with agriculture. They just think that farmers will, I'll just, instead of, I'll grow 100 acres of hemp instead of corn because the corn price is down now. Typically, a farmer will not do that. They would grow corn at a break-even price because they know at least they will get paid. And they have all the machinery setting in their shed. They have all the know-how to do it. Rather than take the risk of growing a new crop that you don't know if you'll get paid for, even if you get money up front. And I've dealt with this personally. I mean, we've had people promise to buy my crop, and some of it's still sitting there at my farm.
You're left
Promises made, promises broken. That could be a chapter of a book I could write of my story here on hemp. But I'll say this to anybody who is thinking of treating farmers fairly. There is a hassle factor that's going to have to be in play here. But you got to understand, if you want to have serious acres, farmers are going to have to get 10 or 20% more profit per acre for this hemp out the gate. And then once 3 to 5 years get there where they're paying their farmers on time, then we can start talking about how can we become more efficient at growing this crop?
Right.
How can we get the yields up? And it comes back to varieties. We haven't really dialed in the varieties yet. Nobody's really intentionally looked at this. I mean, Cornell is, to their credit, Dr. Larry Smart, but still, there's still a lot of work to be done. I think they would agree with that. Nationwide, what varieties work good in Montana? What work good in Pennsylvania? What good in North Carolina? They may be the same variety. It may be dramatically different. And it depends, again, what the end use is for.
Yeah. Too. So you mentioned, farmers not getting the short end of the stick.
Yeah.
I would ask that back in the early days of the podcast because my thinking was like, oh, here's a chance for an ag industry to develop, like brand new, reinvent this thing. So let's build it more intentionally than the way the 20th century kind of came together. Because you hear these stories like farmers are always getting the short end of the stick, right? There's I forget what the quote is, verbatim, but it's like farmers are the only ones who pay, freight and retail and just,
we buy retail and sell wholesale. That's the quote. And it just kind of, it does work sometimes, but us farmers are our own worst enemies. A lot of times, we will compete with one another and say, oh yeah, I'll just use hemp. I'll grow it for a cent or two cheaper just because I want the market. I don't think we're even there yet with the hemp industry because it is so new that there is so little track record out there, aside from a few of the already established folks that are already doing. But, here in the East, we don't really have any track record at all. And it's different. Conditions are here. We're working with, in Lancaster County, land is $30,000 to $40,000 an acre. And you still see a lot of corn and soybeans here, but there's also an awful lot of other crops. Why? Because you can't make money on corn and soybeans when you're paying for farms that are $30,000 to $40,000 an acre. So we're going to need more than $100 an acre profit on our hemp, what we grow here in Lancaster County.
So it's more than just competing with corn and soy. It's got to do better because it's got to sort of hit all these other boxes.
Oh yeah. But we can grow 6 tons to the acre here, non-irrigated on average. Plus, again, as far as getting the industry up and going, I would say that in this area, we have the engineering ability to make all the equipment that's going to be needed for any specialized uses for hemp that are going to emerge. We know they're kind of out there lurking, but as so many discussions that happen here right now, almost any avenue for hemp to become retail ready requires $1 million or more to get that supply chain up and running and functioning at scale. Now, I use that as an example because there's very few people that have that 1 million or 5 million that want to say, yes, I'm going to invest in that because they're not going to see a return on their money the next year like you maybe can with current technology like AI and all this data stuff. So that's what we're up against. That's one of the things we're up against.
Short-term thinking is a killer, though. I mean, that's why we're in the situation we're in sort of globally or locally, all of the things. Like, we have to think long-term.
But here it is, Eric. You or I'm assuming, don't have that kind of money. I don't. No. So who is going to step up? And that's a challenge I'm giving to anybody listening here. Are you going to put your money where your mouth is? You're going to have to believe in somebody at some point. And it's a long-term game. It's a long-term play. I have people that contact me and they're saying, hey, if you ever need any money, let me know. As a matter of fact, yeah, I do. And I'm right away saying, are you in it for 5 years? Usually that takes almost everybody out. Because I'm tired of dealing with people talking 3, 4 phone calls, webinars. I mean, I've picked up people at the airport, brought them to my farm. They look at what I'm doing and say, yep, we're in. We're gonna have money within weeks. And then it just all disappears.
They don't just drop off a bag of cash?
No. And I understand that. But I'm tired of wasting my time to people who aren't very focused and very serious and have a good reputation.
Right. I mean, because part of that, like the raising money, is about building relationships, right? And so like I
Absolutely.
understand why you're doing those things because you want somebody to share the vision with you and like, push this thing the way it's rolling. And it's very disheartening when, you're not there yet, right? So with the green decorticator and the long fibers, you're specifically talking about textile, right?
For the most part, we're finding now just some of the technical aspects of what a green fiber is that has not been retted, by the way. I mean, I understand the need for retting in certain situations. I'm not disparaging that at all.
It's just a different
But there's
track,
other uses that don't want anything retted. The thing about long fibers, you can always cut it shorter. You can't make short fiber longer. So out of that, and some of the treatments, and you've probably heard some of the enzyme treatments, and there's different categories of treatments to get the lignins and pectins out. Some of that,
all that stuff.
All that stuff in that context with green fiber is interesting, and there's quite a bit of interest, I'll say, at this point, and it's really hasn't come to scale yet, but that's kind of where we're at on that. As I'm looking forward, that's why I'm really working with Hemp Catalyst and several other people with trying to let's just get something working out here. I'm also building machinery for other aspects of hemp too, like 4-bar cutter and different other aspects of handling hemp. Yeah. Because anyone who has grown hemp commercially, you just don't have many off-the-shelf things. You just can't get a mower or any cutter just from John Deere, from New Holland. And they're not interested in this until it gets serious. Right. And again, you got people out there building like Andrew Bish and the Lametris machine. That was built specifically for hemp, but we need everything built for hemp. The rakes even sometimes can be better. Even our McHale baler that we use has a hemp kit on it. And we baled 1,200 bales this year with almost no challenges. But we're starting to break some pickup teeth on it now. And I told my son David, I said, that's the weak point. And now it's starting to show. Well, we're aware that there are stronger teeth that you can put on to pick the hemp up. So that's what you learn. That's after we probably baled like 2,000 bales total now of hemp with that machine. Well, whenever you're building equipment, it's one thing to go 50 acres. It's another thing to go 500 acres and find out where are the weak points. And this is, I'll just say, what I enjoy doing in making machinery. Just keep it going, grinding away, and then find out where's the weak points. And pretty much everything that handles hemp, I think eventually will be specialized.
Okay. Are you in touch with McHale people? Are you giving them feedback?
We have been through a local dealer, AgCom, which is here in south of Elizabethtown. And I've had a little online communication with them, but I haven't recently. But I'd like to share, what we're finding with, like I said, that pickup teeth. They should make them. They should make them heavier.
There you go.
They're just built too light.
Yeah.
For hemp.
There you go.
Yeah.
Now we know. I feel like you had mentioned in past conversations that you sort of have plans to turn part of your farm into kind of like an innovation hub or education center. Can you talk more about that?
So we have plans in place to build what we're calling now a hemp innovation center, which is a building 80 by 200, 16,000 square feet that would house an area like a machine shop where we could build some of the things we're building or to basically adapt them to hemp.
Okay.
Also, the kind of the first stage of processing, where whatever we're going to end up doing, and we have a couple of those potential ideas, scenarios in place. The idea is that we would be like an incubator or a place to get something started to test. And then it gets moved out into another facility for production. I'm not interested in production. Once it gets to that mode, I'm bored.
Right.
I just figure things out and try to get them going, and then somebody else can take it.
Yeah.
That's what we want to do.
Innovation workshop. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the building part.
Okay.
The in-field, on-farm research is another thing that I really enjoy doing. I've been doing this for like 30 years. I mean, for those who know me with my cover crop days, my no-till, I mean, I've been inventing things all along. I mean, I could name a lot of things that, we have done over the year. And I got to say, some of it hasn't worked.
But you keep trying,
absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
The tillage radish, that's such a cool idea because you're like, oh, we're just going to let Mother Nature do a lot of this work. So
yeah, our farm is the birthplace of the tillage radish.
Can you give us just a quick explanation of what that is?
Well, I got to give credit to Dr. Ray Weil, University of Maryland. We had started to do cover crop research on our farm in 1996, and that led to 2001. He had a trip that previous winter to South America. It was actually our summer, but their winter, and saw they were using these radishes to reduce nematodes in soybean production. He said, we ought to try that. And they're like, all right. So we planted a couple different types of radishes and brassicas with the idea we're going to research to see if it actually naturally suppresses nematodes in soybeans. Well, what happened was it was all over the map. It wasn't consistent. But what was consistent is anytime we planted these radishes, we had higher yields the following year. And so we kind of changed course, and then I took it upon myself to develop a variety, patented the variety, and that's why I say it's the birthplace of the tillage radish. So that started a whole cover crop seed company, and a lot of research was done on our farm. Matter of fact, in I believe it was 2012 or 2013, we had 1,200 plots.
Wow.
On my 200-acre farm. 1,200 plots. A lot of them are replicated. We were really trying to dial in how nutrients, fertility, and cover crops interact. How do you do nitrogen management? Working with the Haney soil test back then when it was in its beginnings. And all this, that all led up to a cover crop business that we had later get out of. But so it's kind of in my DNA to do research. We've planted about 28 different varieties of industrial hemp so far over the last couple of years on our farm, and we've narrowed it down to some of the favorites around the country. We confirmed things like MS-77 from Australia and Yuma from China are some of the best for the fiber in the herd part. Now, as far as fine tuning them for grain, that's a whole different thing. I have decided to walk away from the grain aspect because I realized there was so much in the fiber. I can only have so much bandwidth. So I'm really hoping someone else really picks up the grain side of it. So that's where I'm really focused on now. So not only just in equipment, but also dialing in how to grow hemp. We're working on a planter, speaking of equipment, a 4-inch row planter.
Right.
And it's going to be precision planted, meaning every seed of hemp will be singulated, and it will have a much better control of the hemp stalks. They'll be spread out in the field, more even placement.
Right.
And so that's going to be built this winter, and that was a help from one of the Pennsylvania Innovation Grants.
Right. Okay.
They're helping with that, helping fund some of that. So these are the things I love doing.
Right. And just let's stay there a little bit. So the 4-inch planter, it's like you'll have more control over the quality of a textile fiber because you'll be able to get them closer together, and that's going to just have a thinner, more
even stalk.
Yeah.
And this is the thing that a lot of times we start backwards, but you got to start at the beginning as far as you can go. So think about it. If you're making almost anything in hemp, you want the same diameter stalks. There's no reason why you wouldn't want that. And that's the goal here. The other thing is I think we can reduce seeding rates by up to 30%. Now, that's just a Steve Groff theory. It hasn't been tested yet. But I know that when I use my very good John Deere drill, it's designed to plant wheat or soybeans. With seed spacing in the row doesn't matter. I explained to people that wheat will tiller out. It sends out tillers to fill in the missing spaces. Or if there's 3 wheat seeds in 1 inch in a row, it doesn't matter. If there's 3 hemp seeds, they may all be a little thinner, and then you have a 2 or 3 inch spacing. You may have a thicker one there, just because it's a little bit more room to grow. So that is critical to get them even spaced, just like we do in corn. But there's another dynamic here. There's two more dynamics. And that is having a good planter to put it in the ground so all the seeds are even, so they come up and emerge within a day or two.
Okay.
Just like we found in corn, it needs to emerge within 24, 48 hours to have maximum production. And this needs to be looked at. And the other thing, any person who's grown hemp will probably agree that the hemp seed that we have these days, it's not as genetically consistent as corn would be. In other words, you can have the delayed germination for up to a week. And if we can help that seed, it all comes back to where the seed was grown.
Is that because of hybrid vigor and most of the corn stuff is F1 stuff where hemp's not there yet?
That's part of it. But there's another part. How was the seed grown? Because we have mature industries and commodity crops now. If you don't do a good job, you're out of business. Right now, anybody who can actually grow hemp was going to grow it, and they're going to probably sell it if they have a market for it. But we have to do a better job. The other problem with hemp is it's an oil seed. And like soybeans or like peas, they don't hold their germ as good as a corn or a wheat would. So we're kind of starting with that challenge as it is.
So that means it has a shelf life, right?
Yes.
It's not going to hold its
unless it's kept cold or freezing.
Perfect condition.
We learned that too, that you have to refrigerate your hemp seed. You don't let it get warm or hot in the shed or sitting in a tote outside. You can lose a germ quickly.
You lost some seed
we
that
learned
way.
that the hard way. So I'm just telling you all, keep your seed cool when you get it if you can. It doesn't have to freeze it. But
is that like keeping your powder dry?
I guess. That would be a good analogy. So there's a lot to do here, Eric. This is getting back to what I'm intrigued about, hemp. I want to figure this stuff out for the good of the industry. And I'll team with anybody who's interested in working with me. Anybody who's interested in working with what we're doing.
I think that energy that you have for it is evident, and it's awesome. Mm-hmm. So I think I've heard you talk before about, AI. We've talked about AI, but maybe we've talked about farmer intelligence. But I would love to hear your thoughts on plant intelligence. So I had a conversation last week with Jeremy Kletke. He's a cannabis hemp breeder at Davis Hemp Farm. He told me some interesting stories from his experience about just his observations of the intelligence of plants. And I wonder how would you pick up that phrase? What does that mean to you?
Well, hemp is an amazing plant. And the weak points is getting it out of the ground evenly, like I was just describing. Once a hemp plant is 6 inches, it's 90% accomplished what it's going to do, what its future is. It's easy after that, pretty much. And I want to just add one more thing is you hear a lot these days about putting seed treatments or biological seed treatments even on commodity crops. Some of them seem to work, some of them don't, and some of them work some places, not others. And it's kind of hard to figure that out unless you do your own testing on your own farm. I tested one seed treatment this year that really made a significant difference, but it was just a side-by-side, but it was consistent on the replications that I did. And I think that's where some of the help is going to be with hemp, to put some seed treatments. And again, why do I know this? They do it in China. But when I asked the Chinese how they do it, what they do, I just could not get to anything to compare to what we have accessible here. Mm-hmm. In other words, I just can't go to China and get their stuff. And maybe it won't work here either. Right. So it's okay, I got the idea. Now, how can I make that work on my farm? And then how can I make that work to benefit the hemp industry nationwide? It's not going to be a probably one-size-fits-all treatment, but I think there's something there. And there are people who know how to do this stuff that will take this up. And my goal is to encourage others, because I don't have anything to be greedy about. I'm here to help people and help the planet. That's pretty much what I do. And I guess in back of that is I just want to be a good steward of these opportunities that God has provided. It's this great plant. You asked about, the plant. It is a plant. It's a gift that keeps on giving in so many ways. But as we learn how to grow this plant, how to maximize its genetic potential, we have my lifetime ahead of me, and it won't all be figured out.
I can't remember if it was you or Larry Smart, or maybe both of you referred to this from the stage in Raleigh at the Hemp Summit. The idea that there's no such thing really as a hemp farmer, right? There's a farm. You're a farmer who grows hemp because you can't just like survive as a hemp farmer because it's got to be diverse. So I don't know if you want to linger on that idea for a little bit.
That's a good point. I'll credit that to Larry maybe, but I don't recall saying it. But it's the same thing that I used to tell farmers when no-till became a thing and when cover crop, all these, people think basically what they're doing is they're looking for that missing puzzle piece. And they're like, I'm going to get a no-till corn planter and I'm going to be a no-till farmer. Oh no, there's a lot of other things you got to do to understand how the whole system works. Same with cover crops. And now same with soil health. I mean, it's more not about the missing puzzle piece. It's about rearranging the picture. And I have had people, as this relates to hemp, to contact me, and I can tell within 30 seconds they're not I'm going to say a commercial farmer. With all due respect, I can tell pretty soon. And they want me to help them grow hemp, and they don't even know. They never took a soil test. They don't even know what their soil's like. That's pretty basic, and it's hard enough to grow food for a living, let alone hemp in an industry that's not very developed yet. There's not a lot of help out there. It's coming, but there's not a lot of help out there. So the good farmers, the farmers who have been successful, growing hemp will be, I'm going to say, relatively easy as long as they're have a pioneer attitude or pioneer spirit about them.
Okay.
Because there probably will be failures in some facet of this whole thing. I mean, can I guarantee you're going to get good seed? I can't. Like people contact me from out of state and I will say, well, how are you going to harvest this? Well, I don't know. Well, can't I just cut it with a disc mower? Maybe, but you may be very frustrated. And I had a guy say, yeah, I baled 30 bales of hemp, no problem, with my round baler. And then I got a call later on the next spring. He said it took me 8 hours to get all the hemp unwound from the bearings in the baler. So I'm never going to do that again. So I've heard these stories.
Yeah.
But does that mean you can't bale hemp? No. That just means you have to know how to do it and get the right equipment.
Right.
So you have all these nuances out there to be successful. And I'm going to say that very few people can do that. Now, I've had calls also from farmers. I can tell right away they get it. We jive. I mean, they get it. They understand the things to watch out for and so forth. So just because you're passionate about it doesn't mean you're going to be successful.
What's the indicator there? Like the way they talk, like the language they use?
It's the language they use and the questions they ask. And I could give you an example. Like, first of all, I might say, do you have a no-till planter, or what kind of planter do you have? And I could tell right away if they give me a recognizable brand and what's the row spacing, 7.5 inches. Yeah, boom, boom, boom.
Yeah,
You just
they know
answer
their
my
stuff.
questions. And they'll ask like intelligent questions like, so what have you found to be the proper depth for hemp seeds? Questions that I can know they've already thought through.
Okay.
I mean, I have talked to people who they want to know how to get the hemp seeds. Who do I recommend to get the hemp seeds? And let me give a few names, and then I'll say, so how are you going to bale this? Oh, haven't thought about that yet. Well, you need to think about that.
Start to finish, all the way
and
through.
then I have other people said that, like I have this one farmer from Alabama call me recently, and he said, I have a processor. He wants me to grow 500 acres. I'm like, oh, that scares me right there. Red flag. Have they grown hemp before? He goes, no. And he goes, that's the problem. I said, that's why I'm calling you. I didn't like it. So we'll see where that goes. But I said, no, I don't care how big of a farmer you are. 500 acres is not the place to start. Now, if it would be someone who had been growing hemp in the neighborhood, like a fellow farmer who's successful at it for 3 years, yeah, maybe that was his right if he farms 5,000 acres. Okay, I'm just throwing a scenario out there.
Back in 2019, that was the first year that it's like full swing. Everybody got in. You look at the numbers here in Pennsylvania. It's like brought in all of these farmers, right? And it's like they called it the gateway crop because suddenly we have all of these farmers. And on one hand, yeah, that's great. More people in farming, the better. But were they really in it for farming? Were they, I don't know me, but yeah, we've sort of seen that sort of go away since then.
Well, 2019, wasn't it like 95% CBD? See, that's different because that's more hand. You don't need as much mechanization for that.
Less farming, more horticulture.
Correct. Yeah, it was more like the vegetable farmers who ask the least questions. I remember back in those days, I was a CBD guy as well. The dairy farmers, we had to hold their hands a little more. But the vegetable farmers, they got it. They understand. But we're talking about now in industrial hemp. Now it's more the commodity farmers that because I don't know of a pathway for income that's sustainable to grow an acre or 5 of industrial hemp. I don't know. I'm assuming there could be a very, very niche out there, but it's more of a broad acre idea here right now.
Are you hungry?
I'm getting there.
Why don't we close this, walk up the street, get some tacos, and then when we come back, a few more minutes, and we'll talk about the recent changes in the definition.
Love to do that.
All right.
Let's eat.
Finally, a breakthrough for people who want perfect vision without doing anything at all. Introducing 4-20-20 Corrective Eye Cream, hemp-powered clarity in a jar. 4-20-20 Corrective Eye Cream, the only hemp-based optical moisturizer clinically shown to restore your vision one blink at a time. Each dab lasts 25,000 blinks. That's almost all day.
Wow!
Say goodbye to glasses. Say goodbye to contact lenses. Say hello to the restorative healing power of hemp with 4-20-20 Corrective Eye Cream. It's healthy because it's hemp. Some restrictions apply. All right. Hey, Steve. We're recording again. We're on the other side of tacos. How do you feel?
I feel great because I ordered exactly what you did because you were, bragging about the reputation. And sure enough, you're right.
It was good, right?
Yeah, they're digesting well.
Good. It was a hibiscus tea, like an iced hibiscus tea, couple of, 3 steak tacos.
Perfect.
Street style, cilantro, onions.
Yep.
That's all you need.
Very healthy.
Tacos El Gordo. This message is brought to you by Tacos El Gordo.
There you go.
So let's wrap this up because we want to talk about the recent changes to the hemp policy. If you look at the internet, a lot of folks, for good reason on the CBD side of things, they have some issues to deal with. People on the fiber and grain side not really celebrating because we see like this is a point where people need to do something now. But it is progress. How do you feel about it?
I think it was an inflection point in our history. I guess I would cut right to the chase and say that I'll just share that everyone else kind of agrees that it was a surprise that this came out when it did. Nobody, I don't think, was counting on that. And I was like, oh, what does it mean? And then I started seeing mostly negative press. And I had calls from different people who knew. Even my daughter called or texted me and said, Dad, what's up with this hemp thing they're talking about? Is that good or bad for you? And so I did a little research more myself and fairly quickly discovered that for those of us in the fiber and grain side, it's not bad. The good parts is it starts a more deliberate separation or bifurcation of the fiber and the grain from the CBDs and intoxicating sides of the hemp plant. And I see that as a very good thing. I do hope that within the next year that they're given that those folks can get a reasonable workout because we know there's a lot of benefits out there that this plant has. But I'm glad to see that there's a much bigger separation. As I understand, the farm bill, if it ever gets passed.
The 2023 farm bill?
Yeah, that one. If it ever gets passed, that's going to give further clarification. That's what I'm hoping for anyway. From what I hear, that seems to be where things are headed. But I guess overall, if you want to remain on the positive side, it certainly has put hemp back in the public discussion. I mean, I was interviewed by a reporter yesterday. What do you think about this? And that would have never happened. So as we all know in the hemp space, education is paramount to getting this industry going, up and going. And I feel like we need a reset. And maybe this is the beginning of a reset. I don't know, but it could be. So getting the general public aware of what's going on. I mean, I can talk to almost anyone that doesn't really understand what hemp is. And the big one is it marijuana? I mean, I still get those questions. Can you smoke it? And I mean, I have this 16-foot tall, hemp. Like, can you smoke it? No.
But the past 6 years of this sort of like, undefined space it didn't do anybody any favors in that.
It did not.
Suddenly hemp can get you high now if it's that, intoxicating cannabinoid stuff.
80 years of prohibition had its effect. We've lost, there's no generational connection, really. None of us can talk to the people who was pre-37 when that happened. But here we are. We kind of have to start over. And it's just interesting in the context from a global sense where countries that never banned it are just like shaking their heads, rolling their eyes at us. It's just like, what? You're still fighting over this or trying to figure it out. And to me, it's pretty clear. It's pretty clear. And I'm trying to think of analogies here, but you have the alcohol industry, which you can make alcohol from corn. Do corn farmers have to get a license? Do they have to get fingerprinted? No. It's on the end user. So that's where I think it should be. Let us farm. Industrial hemp doesn't have anything to do with that. And neither does a farmer growing corn for cows have anything to do with making whiskey, although you can make it from that crop. Okay? So to me, it's like, what is the issue here? I don't understand.
It's just fear. That's all it is. Yep.
Yeah. And, the cynicism in me wonders where some of these big corporate interests lie, that they're maybe not helping us.
Big pharma?
Yeah, that would come to mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's hard to tell, but I'm pretty sure there's a kernel of truth in there somewhere. So.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
But I see it as I'm going to see it as a good thing, and I know that some of my CBD friends probably feel a little trepidated right now. But there is time. There's time allotted to get this figured out. So sometimes deadlines are a good thing. Hopefully, they'll get things figured out.
Yeah, but you're an optimist, so we're going to end on a note of optimism. Steve Groff, it's always great to talk to you. Thank you for coming into the Hemp Studio today.
I appreciate coming in here and seeing where you live. It's part of your life.
Well, I don't live here.
Well, I know, but And also, thanks for the tacos.
Yeah. Thanks for joining me. It's always great to share a meal with you. Thank you.
We'll see you the next time.
Okay. That does it for the show this week. Thank you for listening. Thank you to Steve Groff for making his way here into the studio. Thanks to his wife, Sherry, for dropping him off at the studio while she went and run some errands. Anyway, my name is Eric Herlock. I am the senior digital editor here at Lancaster Farming Newspaper, the greatest agricultural newspaper in the world. Check us out online at lancasterfarming.com. Get a subscription to our print edition, sign up for our newsletter, and read some stories about farming. You'll love it. All right, until next time, I'll see you in the newspaper.
This episode of The Hemp Show was written, recorded, and produced by Eric Herlock. Mixing and mastering by Justin Berger. Music by Eric Herlock, with additional music from Blue Dot Sessions. The Hemp Show is copyright 2025 by Lancaster Farming Newspaper, part of the Steinman Communications family.